It's been so long. In Adrienette Fanfiction, Part 23. God. Bored wasn't even a strong enough word to describe this feeling. Sitting here, alone in her bed, it was torture. Lila looked over her right shoulder into her closed bedroom door. Mother wouldn't burst in at any second. She was away at a business meeting. Not that Mother would come in anyways. She had always given Lila her own teenage personal space, which, of course, was code for practically no parenting at all. Lila Rossi was no fool. She knew her parents ignored her, but, oh, that made everything else in her life so much easier. How sad, why isn't it? To want your parents to ignore you because God knows what would happen if they didn't. With a sigh, Lila clicked on her phone, which had been her lifeline for years and years. What to do, what to do? Pulling up her Instagram, Lila looked at the sheer amount of DMs she had gotten and smiled widely. No need to respond to them all now. She was supposed to be asleep at this time on the other side of the world. Oh, Adrienette posted. Lila hummed and inspected the picture closely. Aw, it was a cute little behind-the-scenes picture of his latest photo shoot. Lila sighed and zoomed in to see his face a bit better. Adrian Agreste was so amazing. A model, kind-hearted, and the son of Gabriel Agreste to top it all off. Lila had told her mother that Adrian was her boyfriend. No matter if that wasn't the exact truth now, soon it would be. She and his father would see to it. The brunette clicked to comment. You look so good, she commented, feeling proud to have passive-aggressively told the world that Adrian was hers. One day she'd be able to say it more explicitly. One day. Mindlessly, she scrolled through, looking at more and more pictures, old and new. She felt a snarl rise upon seeing a picture of Adrian and Marinette. It was an old picture, even his caption said, Throwback Thursday. But still, she didn't appreciate Marinette being on his account, or on her feed. Never mind that. Dupan Chang wouldn't be there for long. Soon she'd be engulfed and lost in a sea of Lila pictures as Adrian shows her off shamelessly. No need to be jealous now, but oh, that was hard indeed. Adrian was hers. All hers. She didn't want a dirty twat like Marinette to be all over him. Lila straightened herself up and turned to look at her school schedule. Did she want to do work? Or did she want to create a story about something so heart-wrenchingly great, the teachers had no choice but to grant her a pass? Clearly the latter. She'd made it happen before. She could make it happen again. Lila, when are you coming home? Girlie, I miss you. How Seoul, you must be doing so much. Come back soon, we miss you tons. Again, Lila grinned. Her friends loved her, and all of her stories so much. It was all just too much fun, telling them about her important adventures. The latest story had been about how she was in South Korea. She told them about how she was singing on the streets, bringing awareness to small struggling musicians. They all cooed over her, milking everything to its worth. And of course she responded to each of them with the same enthusiasm. I come back in a few days. Gotta get rid of that jet lag. I miss you too. It's so fun here. And yes, I've been so busy. I am. I miss you all too. It was all too easy. They all believed her. Always had, always will. They excitedly texted back, asking more and more questions. Oh, goody! Lila could make more stories about K-pop stars that she had saved from the wretched industry. Oh God, this really was the best part of her day. Telling all the stories to her friends. She truly was better than Mother Goose. Could Mother Goose create the most vivid and engaging stories that kept people on their toes and wanting more? No, she didn't think so. They asked her when she was coming back. They couldn't ever get enough of the Lila Rossi, could they? 3 days' time, she told them, and excitedly they squealed. Lila fell back on her bed, a wicked smile gracing her features, and her phone landed face down on her chest. 3 days' time, and she'd go back and wow them all. And for once, she was true to her word. Lila appeared at school on the day that she had promised. "Lila!" shouted a pair of twins whose names she hadn't bothered to remember. Lila gave them a cheery and bright smile, fake as the stories that she told them, and their nails. "You're back!" The brunette wanted to roll her eyes. No duh! Was she some sort of hologram standing in front of the girls? Then again, she could literally do that, and those girls were probably too much of fools to actually think different. She should try that sometime. "Yeah, I'm so happy to be back." Lila forced out a honey tone that those twins were too much of idiots to pick up on. They began to chatter and fire off question after question about K-pop stars and what else Lila had done on her humanitarian trip. Lila grinned and smiled until her cheeks almost hurt. In the most passively aggressively way, while still seeming genuine, in the most passively aggressively while still seeming genuine way possible, Lila excused herself and got far, far, far away. She groaned and rubbed her temples. Those squeaky voices gave her a headache. Why did she deal with them again? Lila wanted to ask someone. Because they are two very well-known girls and were way too attached and enchanted by her? Oh, right. That's why. Lila! Finally, a voice that didn't make her want to rip her hair right out of her scalp. Plastering a sickly sweet smile on her face, Lila faced Alia, a very good person indeed to be seen with. And, one she could manage to spend more than 5 minutes around, too. "Hello," Lila said brightly. Alia pulled her into a tight hug. "I can't believe you're back, and you didn't tell me," Alia said with a playful glare as she started to pull away. "So sorry. I've just been so busy helping the poor people in a dangerous industry. Do you know what they do there? It's awful." Lila plastered on a sad look on her face, pretending to reminisce bitterly on what she had seen. Out of the corner of her eyes, Lila spotted the god-awful girl and pulled Alia in for another tight hug. She reveled in the red fury that grew on Marinette's features upon seeing the scene. Lila had to bite her lip to keep from smirking. To be fair, isn't it more fun for me to surprise you with the fact that I'm back?" Lila asked. Marinette was still watching, and now her hands were crossed tightly across her chest, pleasing Lila greatly. Alia laughed and agreed with her. Lila pulled away, completely and discreetly brushing herself down. As good as Alia was at improving her reputation, the girl was very affectionate, a fact that she did not enjoy. However, to her dismay, Alia didn't let her go far and kept a tight hold on her shoulders. Lila tried to relax and keep her shoulders less tense, but it wasn't easily done. She wanted to glare at the curly-haired girl and growl to get her dirty hands off her shoulder. But that would ruin her image, thus she had to deal with this ridiculousness. Lila tried sending Alia a couple side eyes, showing a gentle discomfort, but to no avail. Ugh, dratted girl couldn't even take a hint. Can you not squeeze? I'm still really sore from the flight, Lila said, biting back the hissy undertone. Finally, Alia took her arm away. Oh, sorry. I should have thought of that, she said apologetically. Lila's pleasing features nearly dropped. Okay, well, no duh, yeah, she should have. God, why was everyone here dumb as a post? Even Alia, who she regarded as one of the lesser idiots here in this trash dump. But then again, if they were too smart, they would figure out all her stories. She couldn't have that. No one wanted 8,000 Marinettes running around. Alia! Rose wanted your help on a journaling assignment. Marinette's annoying voice rang out. Lila sent her a small smirk that could very well be considered polite rather than smug. Her right eyebrow lifted just the slightest bit as if to say, What are you going to do about it? Alia adores me like everyone else here. Okay, Lila, want to come with? Alia offered with a kind smile. Lila almost opened her mouth to disagree, that she had much more work to do and that it was way more important than that Tweety Bird's homework. Luckily, Marinette's biting response was much faster than the falsely polite words that would soon spill out of Lila's mouth. Actually, Rose wanted your help, so Lila isn't needed there. Lila nearly cackled at the look that Alia gave her idiot of a best friend. Ha! That title was so easily taken away. Did Marinette even know what position she just placed herself in? Probably not. She never knew. She was that much of a fool. Well, if she wants to come, I'm sure Rose would appreciate the extra help, Alia defended her. Another barely there smug smirk and eyebrow raise was sent to Du Panchang's direction. She was doing it to herself. Even Lila herself knew when to keep her mouth shut. Marinette, however, did not. This was all her fault. Lila hadn't even spoken a word. Rose didn't ask for her. Maybe she would have if she knew Lila was back home. Ugh, Cesare was going to ruin her hearing. No way was Lila going to deal with more shrieks of that high of pitch. How was that little blonde even in high school? Her voice rivaled Snow White's chirping tone, and that made her want to cringe hard and slam her head against a wooden plank, 'cause it was terrible. God! Who has a voice that high? It's disturbing. You know, as much as I would love to help, Lila's sarcasm barely leaked through with an elongation of love, though only Marinette noticed, and it only made her glare harder. I have to go talk to my teachers about work, but seriously, if I didn't have to do that, I would totally go with you guys. I've done work with a ton of journalists when helping all around the world, speaking out against horrible conditions people are under. I'll catch up with you later. Thanks for wanting me to come. Lila started making her way out of the conversation into a whole new crowd of people to dazzle. A wicked idea just popped into her head when she was nearly out of earshot. She just barely tilted her head around, and a false smile was planted. Marinette, she called with as much distaste as she could put in without Alia, the so-called detective, noticing it. Though, did Detective notice more than just the obvious things? Do try to smile more. Glares don't look so pretty. They make lines. Lila threw over her shoulder before angling straight and strutting away. No doubt Du Panchang and Cesare were arguing over there. Oh, the joy it brought her, making a rift appear in the inseparable girls. It was a feat to accomplish, and Lila was very pleased to know that she was very good at it. On her way to the classroom, where she only resided for days throughout the year, Lila encountered more people who were practically starstruck by her. She gave them all tight hugs, More so to try and suffocate them to the point of finally shutting up in a tight embrace, but whoever thought they were smart enough to realize that, they never were. Idiots. By the time that Lila had made her rounds and headed to her homeroom, her head was about to burst. The teachers had all bought her elaborate sob stories and warmly smiled at the work that she had done to save those poor, unfortunate souls. No worries, they had all said, clutching their touched hearts. Some of them even pulled her into a tight and proud hug that made Lila want to retch out of their grips and vomit. Blech. Their touch was nauseating. But she still couldn't help but joyously smile at how the teachers and the adults in the school were such emotional idiots. They believed such a deranged story and hung on to her every word as well. They believed every little thing, no matter how much Lila had pushed the line. And oh, she had! Many times! Very far. God, how was she so good at storytelling? Lila grinned broadly, which of course they took it as her being happy to be back. Who actually wanted to be back in school? Who wanted to be in a place where they got parented by people who weren't even their parents? Her parents never even did much of that themselves. But then again, who wouldn't have fun putting on a show and having people latch on and cheer for every single one of them? Lila loved the attention, and good God, did she deserve it? It was hard work, elaborating and thinking about the most magical stories to wow people with. She deserved everything she got. Lila took her seat, overlooking the entire classroom. The blonde brat was ranting about something again to her pet of a friend. The nerd was fidgeting with his little robot box thing. Kim was waving his arms around like a madman, and who was she kidding? Kim was a crazy person. She'd seen that picture from years back when half his clothes were soaked in mud and an old shit bag was attached to the side of his face. It was hilarious. She had to stifle her giggles upon seeing it. Secretly, she thanked Chloe for taking the picture and getting it around. Out loud, though, she frowned deeply and voiced her discomfort with seeing such a picture. And of course, everyone praised her, thus launching her into a story about the time she'd stopped a huge cyberbullying chain account. They praised her even more for that. What a surprise! Lila sighed and turned to her right. Adrienne had sat there for a total of 5 minutes, right there next to her. Oh, they were the perfect looking couple! Lila was so excited. Dating Adrienne? Oh my God, that would be the ultimate status raise. Everyone in the world would know her name and love her endlessly. What more would a girl want? Besides, Adrienne was so nice he'd probably give her anything she wanted and probably reenact all the dramatic, big romantic gestures she'd seen in movies as a kid. Then again, he'd probably do them anyways without her asking. Oh, that was for the better. I wish I could tell you. Lila perked her eyes up to the door. There was Marinette, of course, with Ollie by her side, but to her surprise, Marinette wasn't talking to the girl next to her, but in fact, her Adrienne. Okay, I'm sorry, what the heck? He was grinning widely. Oh, it'd be even more adorable if he wasn't smiling because of her. The little dimple on his face almost made Lila sigh like a lovesick fool and slump over, hands on chin holding her head up. However, keeping her eyes on Adrienne meant seeing Marinette chatter excitedly to him as his full attention was on her. Lila's eyes narrowed into slits as she shot daggers at the half-Chinese girl who made her blood boil, no matter how calm she pretended to be in front of everyone else. At the very least, she could smugly know that where Marinette exploded and painted herself as the villain, she could control herself and play the, and Lila would be able to continue to play the innocent little hurt one, while Marinette took the blame because God forbid, control your emotions. Lila's eyes followed as the four friends went to their seats. Alia stood next to Nino, big surprise, and Marinette next to Adrian. An actual big surprise. They were laughing about something, and Lila almost gasped when Marinette swatted at Adrian's hair, messing up the perfection. She was too far to hear what they were saying, but whatever it was, it made her grit her teeth at how close Adrian and Marinette were acting. Lila swiftly stood and started making her way towards them. And on that note, just in the nick of time, Marinette had decided to lean her filthy head against Adrian's shoulder. Lila fought the urge to slap it off. That was her right. Only she would be the one to do that. Stupid Marinette. She knew nothing. Adrian was hers. The world would know that. But for now, the brunette relished in the silent knowledge, knowing that someday that would be a fact that everyone knew. And Marinette could only dream of having a chance with Adrian Agreste. Ha. Wild dreams. Like they'd ever happen. "Hey!" Lila said, chirpy as can be. Marinette jumped up and turned around. Her eyes flickered hotly at Lila, who just smiled past it and stood next to Alia rather closely, almost daring Marinette to say an offended word as Alia pulled her into a side hug. "Sup, dude?" Nino put out a hand that Alia high-fived, though it's not like she enjoyed it. Alia sent Adrian a genuine and bright smile. However, she only received a tightened one back. "What are you doing here?" Marinette asked. Her comment had a lot less bite than Lila had expected. Shaking away from her view and ignoring Marinette, Lila placed her attention on the blonde boy by her side. "Adrian, I've yet to see you. How have you been?" "Oh, I've been good." "How are the photo shoots? I'm sure you've done tons of them since I last saw you. Any more partner ones? Your father hasn't asked me to do any more with you." "Yeah, there's been a few." How are they?" "Good." Lila almost frowned and pouted at Adrian's rather dry answers. His eyes weren't as warm as she remembered, and even with their small little quarrel last time that didn't even matter at this point, she had expected him to be a little bit more cheerful like Alia. They last saw each other so long ago, it didn't even matter at this point. Lila flickered her eyes to Marinette, who was giving her a "I dare you to continue" type look. The brunette almost growled. Adrian was behaving this way because of Marinette! Ugh! That girl ruins everything. Something had to be done. A plan began to form in Lila's head. A simple phone call could put it in action. She excused herself politely. "I'll see you later, Adrian," she called, waving her hand as she walked back to her seat, not at all missing the sharpened look that Marinette was giving her. Reaching the top desk, Lila pulled out her phone and wickedly smiled, clicking and writing out a text. "Mr. Agreste, I worry there's a bad influence latching itself onto Adrian. May we discuss how to protect him?